Hey there. Tonight, we're starting underground. It's quiet here. Completely dark. No wind, no sky, no stars. Just silence and soil. You're not above the earth anymore. You are the earth. A seed, curled tightly like a question mark, waiting for an answer. Buried beneath layers of time, you can't see where to go. You can't even move yet. And yet, something inside you is listening. This is where the story of every tree begins, not in light, but in darkness. You don't have eyes or ears or a brain, no heart pounding, no lungs to sigh, and yet you're alive. You're packed, full of quiet instructions, like a little scroll written in green code. Inside you are signals waiting for water, for warmth, for the hush of the soil to shift in just the right way. And then, one day, something changes. Maybe the ground gets a little warmer. Maybe moisture finally finds you. Maybe it's spring, though. You don't know what spring is, but you feel it. A stirring, deep and low and ancient. You begin to split, slowly, carefully. A crack opens in your shell, not violently, but patiently, like a yawn. And from that crack, you send out a tiny root dot. But here's the question. Where do you send it? You've never seen the sky. You don't even know what up is. There's no map, no compass. Just the silent push of biology, dot, and yet, the root goes downward, dot, not sideways. Not upward. Down, dot. It's as if you've already guessed where gravity lies, like you were born knowing which way the world pulls. Scientists call this gravitism, a built-in ability to sense the pull of gravity and grow accordingly. Even without a nervous system, even without consciousness, your cells respond to the pressure of the earth. There are tiny grains inside. You, like microscopic sand, that settle in one direction. And you listen to them. You obey their message. Go that way, dot, so you do. Your root stretches down, feeling its way blindly through the soil. It avoids pebbles. It curves around hard patches. It seeks out softness. It's as if you're already exploring, already deciding. But still, it's strange, isn't it? How does a seed know? You're not thinking, not calculating, not making pros and cons lists. And yet your body makes a decision about direction, not randomly, but precisely. And that choice, to go down instead of up, will shape your entire life. We often think of plants as passive, as still, but they're not. Even now, you are changing minute by minute, stretching, expanding. Your tiny root tip is not just growing, it's sensing. It touches the soil gently, almost like it's feeling its way in the dark. It detects moisture gradients, chemical traces, temperature shifts. You're not just alive, you're curious. And above you, still wrapped in the dark, is your other half. The shoot dot, it's not ready to rise yet, but it's waiting for you to anchor. Because once you're stable, it will rise, and when it does, it too will have a question to answer. Where is the light? But we'll get there, dot. For now, let's stay here, in the soil, in the dark, in the beginning. You're just a whisper of a thing. But already, the ancient language of plants is unfolding. Already, your cells are humming with purpose. Already, you are choosing your direction. And isn't that a beautiful thought to fall asleep to? That even in total darkness, something inside you knows where to go. Somewhere above, sunlight pours through the air in golden ribbons. But you're not there yet. Not even close. You're still underground, still wrapped in the rich, ancient hush of the soil. But now, something inside you is shifting again. Your root has found its way downward, a quiet, determined dive into gravity's embrace. But the rest of you, the part that dreams of light, is beginning to stir. A pale, curved stem begins to rise, not straight upward, but in a slow, looping arc. This is your shoot, your first breathward stretch. And it's afraid, Dot, yes, afraid. Not in the way you and I feel fear, but in a biological sense. Your shoot is hesitant. It doesn't rush. It tests. It bends. It curves in little spirals, like a sleepy dancer fumbling in the dark, because it doesn't know exactly where the surface is. It's never seen light before, but it's drawn to it, compelled, guided by a strange, invisible call. This is phototropism, your ability to sense light and to grow toward it. Even here in the soil, your cells respond to the tiniest hints of brightness. Some wavelengths get through the earth, especially blue light. Your tip can detect these fragments and adjust accordingly. It's like a lighthouse in reverse. Instead of shining out to others, you're watching for any glow, hoping to rise. And that's not all. You're also listening to chemicals, tiny messengers passed from cell to cell, like notes in a classroom. One of the most important is called auxin. It flows through your shoot like a whisper, telling you how to bend, how to lean. If light is stronger on one side, auxin gathers on the other, causing the shaded side to grow faster and bend you toward the glow. All of this is happening without a mind, without nerves, without eyes. Just chemistry. And it works. Because eventually, your curved, ghostly shoot will pierce the surface. The soil will grow thinner. Pebbles will turn to sand. The scent of sun-warmed air will seep through. And then, with a tiny push, you'll rise into the light. But don't get too excited. Light is not safety. It's not peace. It's a battleground. And as soon as you arrive, you'll find that you're not alone. Everywhere around you are other shoots, other plants stretching, leaning, reaching. The moment you emerge from the soil, the race begins. Who can reach the light first? Because in a forest, in a meadow, even in a flower pot, light is limited. And if you don't get enough, you won't make it. So your shoot adjusts. It tilts. It elongates. If a leaf above you casts a shadow, you move. Slowly, silently, but persistently. If a neighbor leaf steals your sun, you change your angle. You try again. You don't give up. It's not violence, exactly, but it is competition. Gentle, green, almost polite, but ruthless in the end. And here's the strange part. You're not seeing any of this. You don't have a brain. You don't have thoughts. And yet, you know how to respond. You choose where to grow, when to stretch, how to twist. All based on waves of light and rivers of chemicals. Now, pause for a moment. Breathe in slowly and imagine that you are this plant. Imagine what it feels like to emerge from darkness into brightness, not with joy or fear, but with necessity. You have no choice but to grow. You must find the light. You must stretch. And so you do. Even as the wind brushes against you. Even as clouds drift overhead. Even as the world grows colder or warmer, or drier or wetter, you grow. Isn't just what you're looking for. It's what you are looking with. It's both your goal and your guide. And something in you, old as moss, deep as forest memory, never forgets that. Even now, when you rest your head on a pillow, when you close your eyes and drift toward sleep, your body still turns toward light. Your cells still know which way is up. You're not so different from a plant. You're just faster, louder, and maybe a little more confused. But the instinct? It's still there. You're still growing. Above the soil, your leaves have begun to stretch wide, unfolding like gentle green sails. You don't rush. You never do. Everything you do is slow and quiet, as if time moves differently when you're made of chlorophyll. And now, something truly magical happens. You begin to breathe, but not like we do, not with lungs and sighs and rising chests. Your breath is made of light and air. Through tiny, invisible mouths called stomata, you inhale the world around you. Carbon dioxide slipping in, water vapor slipping out, like whispers between the cells. This is photosynthesis, and it's not just how you eat. It's how you exist. Sunlight touches your leaves and dances with your molecules. Energy from that light is captured and turned into fuel, rearranged by the green engine of life. You convert air and water into sugar, your own handmade energy bars, while releasing oxygen into the sky like an exhale from the deep past. You don't just live off the earth. You change it. You create the very atmosphere others will breathe. The air I'm breathing now, some of it was made by a tree, or a fern, or a blade of grass just like you. But how do you know when to grow? Not just the direction, not just light versus dark, but the when of it all. This is where it gets even weirder. Inside your cells is a kind of biological clock, a rhythm that beats quietly, even in the dark. It's not ticking like a watch. It's pulsing, swaying. It's your circadian rhythm. And yes, plants have them too. You open your stomata more during the day, when sunlight is plentiful. You slow your metabolism at night. You anticipate dawn before it arrives, like your cells have been watching the sky behind closed eyes. And if you think that's impressive, just wait, because you also remember not in a human way, with memories of birthdays or arguments or beach vacations, but in a botanical way. You remember sunlight levels. You remember droughts. You remember the way a shadow stretched over you yesterday, or the pattern of clouds 3 weeks ago. You adjust your growth based on what came before. Some scientists call this plant intelligence. Others say it's just chemistry. But whatever it is, it works. You don't just follow light. You learn from it. And sometimes you even communicate. Yes, really. When a leaf is damaged, chewed by an insect, torn by wind, it sends out a chemical signal. That signal can travel through the air or underground, warning nearby plants of danger. They respond by producing bitter chemicals, or toughening their leaves, or slowing their growth. You're not alone. You're part of a silent green network. A neighborhood, a whisper chain of information passed without voices. You speak in sugars, in scents, in shifts of chemistry. And the message is always the same. Grow here, not there. Stretch now. Wait, something's coming. So when we ask, how do plants know where to grow? The answer is, they're listening. To the light, to the dark, to the ground beneath them and the air above. They are tuned to the environment in ways we're only beginning to understand. And here's the dreamy twist. Your body listens to. Your skin senses temperature. Your brain measures time. Your cells stretch or shrink depending on pressure. You're not a plant, but you're made of the same stardust. You respond to light, to touch, to rhythm. Just like them. So maybe the question isn't just how plants know where to grow. Maybe it's how life does. How everything, from moss to mushrooms to the muscles in your hand, knows, in its own quiet way, how to find its place. Even now, lying in bed, you're still adjusting, settling, orienting toward comfort, toward stillness, toward peace, just like a plant in the moonlight. Now that your leaves have unfurled and found the light, something else stirs deep inside you. A blueprint, an invisible architecture that knows exactly how tall you should become, how wide your branches will reach, and which direction to turn next. But here's the strange part. This blueprint is flexible. You don't build yourself like a machine. You don't come with a finished design. You respond as you grow. The way your stem curves, the way your branches split, the way your roots twist and dive, all of it changes. Based on what you encounter, you are a living improvisation, One that adjusts to rocks, shadows, competition, and opportunity in real time. Let's say you're growing near a wall. Your shoot touches it, senses it. You don't panic. You curve. You stretch the other way. You don't break through. You flow around. This phenomenon is called thigmotropism, a plant's ability to respond to physical touch or barriers. Climbing plants like ivy are masters of it. They curl and wrap their tendrils around anything they contact. A fence, a tree, your garden hose left out too long. They feel the world. Not in the human sense, but in something ancient and mechanical, built into their cells. And roots? They're even more extraordinary. As you push downward, your roots branch and divide like rivers on a mission. They don't just wander randomly. They seek. They follow trails of moisture, pockets of nutrients, warmth, and chemistry. Some roots form partnerships with fungi underground, mycorrhizal networks, trading sugars for minerals, like ancient merchants bartering in a dark, hidden bazaar. You don't do this because someone told you to. You do it because it's in your nature. A kind of knowing without thought. A kind of intelligence without awareness. And while that might sound robotic, it's anything but. Because every part of you is alive with choice, even at the molecular level. Your cells are constantly whispering to each other. This way, they say. Not that way. Grow now. Wait. Send energy here. Store sugar there. It's like an orchestra without a conductor. And yet, the music plays beautifully. Here's a mainstream fact for your pillow. The hormone auxin, which we mentioned earlier, doesn't just help you follow light. It also helps regulate your entire architecture. Auxin flows downward with gravity, helping your roots anchor more deeply and telling your shoots when to branch. It's like a chemical compass that keeps you oriented even as the wind shifts. And now for the fringe. Some researchers have found that plants can emit electrical signals when touched, tiny pulses, not unlike a slow-motion nervous system. Some even believe this could form the basis for primitive learning or memory. A controversial idea, but fascinating nonetheless. So let's zoom out a little. Imagine a forest not as a bunch of static trees, but as a field of minds. Minds that think slowly. Minds that don't move, but respond. Every leaf adjusting to the angle of the sun. Every root exploring the dark. Every stem reaching, sensing, calculating in a quiet language older than speech. In this world, speed doesn't equal intelligence. Stillness doesn't equal silence. And your little plant body, resting in the soft hum of night, is proof of that. Because growth isn't just movement, it's awareness. A kind of conversation with the world, where each new cell you build says, I heard you. I'm adjusting. And here's the beautiful twist. This kind of awareness doesn't require thought. It doesn't need a brain. It just is unfolding, expanding, adapting. Just like you. Even now, as your body lies still, your cells are adjusting to temperature. Your skin is sensing pressure from your blanket. Your lungs are slowing. Your heartbeat is syncing with a rhythm of rest. You're not thinking about it, but you're responding. Just like a seed in the soil. Just like a vine curling toward a tree. Just like the forest itself. Breathing, learning, becoming. So sleep easy tonight, knowing that even the smallest life listens and grows toward what it needs. So now you're growing, gracefully, quietly, stretching through sunlight and drifting air. And every part of you is humming with invisible decisions. Where to send water. When to open your pores. How wide to spread your leaves. You don't ask questions, you respond, instinctively, perfectly. One green breath at a time. But there's something else you've started to learn. How to handle stress. Yes, even plants get stressed. You see, the world isn't always kind. There are hungry insects, sudden droughts, temperature swings, and strange pollutants drifting through the breeze. You, dear plant, are exposed. Rooted in place, you can't run. You can't hide. But what you can do is adapt. Take heat, for example. When it gets too warm, your cells begin producing special proteins, heat shock proteins, that help stabilize your inner machinery. Like emergency coolants for your molecular gears. You don't panic. You just adjust or drought. If the soil dries up, you start closing your stomata to conserve moisture. You slow down photosynthesis. You change your leaf angle to reduce exposure. It's like shrinking into yourself, protecting your vital systems until the storm or the sun passes. Even being touched can cause a response. Some plants, like the sensitive mimosa, curl their leaves dramatically when touched, a reaction thought to deter herbivores. But others, more subtly, change the way they grow if they're brushed too often. They grow shorter, sturdier, like they're bracing themselves for a windy world, or for a life lived among too many clumsy humans. Scientists call this thigmomorphogenesis, the way a plant's shape is affected by mechanical stress. And yes, it's a real word. A mouthful. But kind of fun to whisper in the dark. You see, plants don't just receive the world passively. They interpret it. They integrate experience into their form. Like sculptors carving themselves from time and trial. And here's something even wilder. Some plants can hear. No, not in the way we hear music or conversation. But recent studies suggest that roots may respond to certain frequencies of sound. Vibrations from water, from insects, even from other plants. In one study, roots grew preferentially toward the sound of running water, even when moisture levels were the same. Think about that. In the total darkness of the soil, with no eyes, no ears, no mouth, your roots heard the song of water, followed it. Some call this controversial. Others call it nonsense. But the results are being replicated, slowly, carefully, as if science itself is learning to whisper again. And then there's defense. When under attack, say, by a munching caterpillar, you don't just sit there. You release chemicals. Some taste bitter. Others attract the predators of your predator, like calling in backup from nature's tiny SWAT team. Hey wasps, come deal with this worm for me, will you? And some of those signals travel through the air. Your neighboring plants smell the alarm and begin preparing their own defenses, producing toxins, stiffening leaves, storing energy. Like a neighborhood watch made entirely of grass and bark and vine. So next time you walk through a garden, remember, they're not just pretty. They're communicating, planning, surviving, even remembering. That's right, in lab studies, some plants have shown a kind of learned response. For example, if repeatedly dropped, but not harmed, the mimosa plant stops reacting, as if it learns that the drop is safe. And it remembers this for days. Some even argue this counts as memory without neurons, a bold and hotly debated idea. But whether you call it memory or just biochemistry, one thing's clear. Plants adapt over time, not just in evolution, but in individual experience. And you, right now, are doing the same. Because as you listen to this, your breathing slows. Your body adjusts. Your brain begins to soften, releasing tension like a flower opens its petals. You're not thinking your way into sleep. You're growing into it. With every heartbeat, with every breath. Just like a plant bends into the breeze. Not because it knows the wind, but because it knows how to move with it. So rest easy, little leaf. You're not alone in the dark. Even the smallest sprout can learn to reach for the light. Let's go underground for a moment. Beneath your leafy arms and soft breathing leaves, your roots are performing a kind of silent magic, stretching, splitting, mapping out the dark in ways you'll never see with eyes, because you don't need eyes. You have instincts. You have chemistry. You have the language of soil. Down here, It's not just about drinking water or anchoring yourself. No, something much stranger is happening. You're forming relationships. Deep, tangled, symbiotic relationships. Because your roots are not alone in the dark. They're surrounded by fungi, ancient, thread-like organisms that weave themselves into your very tissues. They extend your reach. They trade with you. They speak for you. This hidden alliance is called the mycorrhizal network, or as some like to call it, the Wood Wide Web. And yes, it's real. These fungi tap into your roots and connect you to other plants, trees, shrubs, even grasses. It's like plugging into a living internet. Through this network, you can share nutrients, send warning signals, even nurture your offspring. In a forest, older trees, the so-called mother trees, will actually send sugars through the fungal web to their younger, shaded children. Imagine that. A forest where the parents literally feed their babies through the ground. And this is happening in silence, in stillness, in slowness. Nothing shouts, nothing moves. But everything is happening. Even competition is negotiated underground. If a plant receives too much light and starts hogging the nutrients, others around it can change their chemistry, slowing that greedy neighbor's growth. It's like diplomacy at root level. Quiet, firm, unblinking. And get this, some plants even fake signals to fool the network, pretending to be in distress to gain resources. Root-level trickery. Little green con artists hiding in the soil. Meanwhile, back above the surface, your stem continues climbing. Gravity pulls you down. Light pulls you up. And every cell in your body is caught in the tug-of-war between earth and sky. It's not chaotic, it's guided. You have internal sensors, like gyroscopes, that help you know which way is down. They're called statoliths, tiny starch-filled grains that settle inside your cells and let you feel gravity. So, even in darkness, total, complete darkness, you would still know where to grow. Down with the roots. Up with the leaves. Always. That sense of direction isn't taught. It isn't learned. It's in you. Written into your proteins. Etched into your evolution. It's like a lullaby your ancestors sang into your cells. Grow this way, little one. And that's true for you. 2. Even as you lie in bed, you have a sense of direction, of center, of balance. You can feel where the pillow touches your ear. You know when your foot slips slightly to the side. You adjust without thinking, because your body, like a plant, remembers where it belongs. And here's something to dream about, even in space. Yes, actual outer space. Plants can still figure out how to grow. In zero gravity, they follow light alone, reaching for the direction of photosynthesis, like it's a lifeline, a signal, a promise. You don't need gravity to grow. You just need a reason. So tonight, let yourself drift like a root in soft soil. Let your breath be the light that guides you. Let your heartbeat be the gravity that grounds you. There is an entire world below the surface. And above it, there's you, reaching gently upward, still growing in the dark. Now that your roots are deep, and your stems are strong, let's talk about something even more mysterious than growth. Let's talk about timing. Because a plant doesn't just grow. It knows when to grow. You don't bloom in the dead of winter. You don't unfurl new leaves at midnight. Somehow, without a watch, without a calendar, you still follow the rhythm of the world. This miracle is thanks to your internal clock, a circadian rhythm that pulses inside your cells, guiding your actions in sync with the turning earth. Even as a tiny sprout, you begin each morning by opening your leaves to the light, photosynthesizing like a sun worshiper at peace. And at night, when the light fades, you slow, you rest. Your metabolism shifts. Your systems prepare for darkness. Plants have been doing this for billions of years. They've evolved to match their behavior, to the 24-hour cycle of sunrise, sunset, and not just in response to light. This internal clock continues even in total darkness. You carry the pattern inside you, like a secret lullaby only nature remembers. And that rhythm? It's not just daily. It's seasonal. You, sweet plant, can feel the length of the day changing as summer turns to autumn. The light hits your leaves differently. The nights stretch longer. And at a certain point, when your internal calendar hits just the right date, you begin to change. You flower or shed or hibernate. How do you do this without checking your phone? You measure photoperiod, the length of day versus night. Different plants respond to different lengths. Some flower only when the days are long, others when the nights are. And some, like desert blooms, wait for a rare signal, maybe rain, before suddenly bursting into color like fireworks across the sand. Imagine that. Waiting patiently, invisibly, for a single drop of rain that tells your whole body, now is the moment. And when it comes, you explode into life. Some seeds can wait decades for that signal. Others have more tragic stories. There are trees that bloom once after 70 years, and then die. It's called monocarpic flowering, a final blaze of beauty followed by a quiet farewell. Makes you wonder how much intention hides behind the stillness. Here's a mainstream marvel. Plants like Arabidopsis thaliana, a humble weed, really have become famous in labs for their precise genetic timing. Scientists have mapped the exact genes that tell this plant when to flower. It's like discovering the gears inside a green watch. Now for the fringe. Some researchers believe that plants may be able to remember past environmental conditions and adjust their future timing accordingly. A kind of epigenetic memory, passed not just through genes, but through patterns of experience. Think about that. That you, as a plant, might remember last spring and use it to shape this one. No brain, no story, just memory written in molecules. So tonight, as you breathe in, slow and calm, remember that you teary rhythms, your own circadian pulses, your own seasonal shifts. You feel when it's time to rest, even if the world outside is loud and bright. Because timing isn't about clocks. It's about listening to the soil, to the light, to the shape of the season and the hush of the wind. And in that stillness, a quiet decision. Now I'll grow. So let your body listen. Let your limbs rest. Let your breath fall in time with the leaves. And know this, even when you're not moving, you're still becoming, still growing, still exactly where and when you're meant to be. You've grown upward. You've grown downward. You've mastered light and dark and time. But what happens when the world around you changes? When the environment turns upside down and survival means becoming something new? You, dear plant, adapt. Not slowly over generations, but right now, with the body you already have. Let's say a strong wind keeps bending you to one side. You won't break. You'll adjust. You'll reinforce your stem with extra lignin, a woody compound that hardens your tissues. You'll thicken. You'll lean. You'll change shape in response to pressure. This ability is called phenotypic plasticity, the power to alter your form based on your surroundings. It's like being able to grow new muscles when the wind picks up, or shrink your leaves if the air dries out. And it happens without thought, without planning. It's a soft conversation between your genes and the environment. And this isn't just about strength. It's about strategy. Take the carnivorous plants, for instance, Venus, flytraps, sundews, pitcher plants. They grow in soil so poor in nutrients that they've evolved to eat insects instead. Imagine being so deprived of nitrogen that you decide, you know what, I'm gonna snack on flies. And the weirdest part? They don't always do it. Some carnivorous plants only build traps when nutrients are low. When times are good, they act like regular leafy citizens. When things get rough, they become monsters. Flexible, responsive, always adapting. Here's a historical gem. Charles Darwin, in one of his last books, was absolutely fascinated by carnivorous plants. He called them the most wonderful plants in the world and spent years watching them digest insects. Just picture old Darwin in a greenhouse, whispering sweet encouragement to a hungry flytrap. And now a fringe twist. Some researchers believe plants might be able to anticipate environmental changes, especially if they've experienced them before. It's a controversial idea, but in some cases, plants exposed to repeated stress seem to prepare before the stress hits again, almost like they're expecting it. Like a tree that knows winter is coming a little too early. Memory? Prediction? Mere chemistry? The debate continues. But one thing is certain. Plants are not passive. They may move slowly. They may speak without sound. But they are constantly adjusting, strategizing, and optimizing their chances to thrive. And you, tucked warmly into your bed, are doing something similar. You're adjusting to the temperature, to the pressure of the blanket, to the rhythm of the narration. Your body is subtly shifting, in posture, in breath, in brainwaves, to settle into a more restful state. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. You are not passive. Either. Even your sleep is a form of adaptation. A reset, a nightly realignment between body and mind and time. A place where dreams become the seeds of new thoughts, and quiet becomes the soil of memory. So tonight, let your thoughts drift like leaves in a breeze. Let your limbs soften like moss. Let yourself become a little more plant than person, rooted, resilient, quietly blooming even in the dark. Let's talk about touch. No, not your kind, not fingertips or soft pillows or sleepy hugs. I mean plant touch. The invisible kind. The kind that doesn't involve nerves or hands or any awareness as we understand it, and yet still changes everything. Because you, as a plant, can feel. You know when something brushes against you, when an obstacle blocks your growth, when another leaf leans too close. You sense it, not with eyes or ears, but with pressure, with movement, with the subtle tug and sway of the world. And this phenomenon has a name. THEMOTROPISM. Way plants respond to touch by changing their growth. Vines are masters of this. They send out curling tendrils that whip through the air, searching blindly until, contact. And once they find it, they twist, they coil, they grip, and they don't let go. Some of these tendrils are so sensitive that they begin to curl within seconds of being touched. An invisible reaction, triggered by minute changes in cell pressure. Now imagine you're one of those tendrils. Growing, reaching, feeling. Every brush of wind, every raindrop, every brief contact with a nearby surface tells you something about the shape of your world. And even though you don't think, even though you don't know, you respond. And you don't just respond to external touch. You react to yourself. If one of your leaves bends awkwardly into another, you may grow around it. If your own roots become tangled, you might adjust your direction. You are in constant dialogue with the space you occupy, a green, leafy body scan that never ends. And there's more. Some plants have evolved the ability to move when touched. Think of the Mimosa pudica, the sensitive plant. When touched, its leaves snap shut. It's not just a party trick. It's a defense. A way to startle insects or protect itself from damage. And what's amazing, this movement isn't just mechanical, it's electrical. When you touch a sensitive plant, tiny voltage changes ripple through its tissues, triggering specialized cells to lose water pressure and collapse. Like hydraulics made of biology. Plants, with no brain, no nerves, no muscles, are generating and responding to electric signals. Here's the mainstream science. Researchers have mapped these voltage changes and found that they behave similarly to neurons in animals. They're slower, yes, but they carry information. They signal distress. They coordinate action. And now the fringe. Some plant neurobiologists, yes, that's a real thing, have proposed that plants might even have primitive forms of perception or intelligence. Not in the way we do, but in a way that works for them. No one's saying plants are conscious, but they might be more aware than we once believed. And as you lie there in the dark, your own nervous system quietly humming, your skin sensitive to the brush of sheets, to the weight of the blanket, you're not so different. Your body, like a plant, responds to touch in ways you barely notice. A cool breeze, a soft exhale, the shape of the pillow against your cheek. Tiny sensory signals that guide your comfort, your awareness, your dreams. So tonight, as you drift, imagine being a tendril reaching through the air. No fear, no rush, just the instinct to grow, to explore, to curl gently around whatever feels solid. Let the world touch you gently, and trust your response. Now, what if I told you that plants can hear? Not in the way you do, of course. No eardrums, no headphones, no embarrassing playlists, but still, a sensitivity to vibration. A way of perceiving sound not as melody, but as motion. Roots, for example, seem to detect the low-frequency vibrations of flowing water. In one experiment, seedlings grew toward the sound of running water even when there was no moisture in the soil. They weren't smelling, tasting, or seeing the water. They were listening. That's right. A thirsty plant was listening for a drink. And if you're already in your cozy blanket with eyebrows raised, hold tight. Some researchers have found that plants under stress, like when they're cut or dehydrated, emit tiny ultrasonic clicks, too faint for us to hear unaided. It's like a hidden whisper from inside their tissues. A distress signal encoded in air. We only recently started picking these up using specialized microphones. And once we did, we realized different stressors create different signatures. It's as if each plant has a secret language of need, invisible to the human ear. Now here's a historical gem. In the 1970s, a scientist named Dorothy Retallick conducted controversial experiments with music and plants. She played different types of music, classical, rock, jazz, to houseplants. And supposedly, the plants preferred soothing sounds, growing better. In those conditions, the science community has always been skeptical of this. But the idea stuck around, like a good myth should, because there's something irresistible about the thought that plants, in their own way, might be listening back. Now the fringe. A few bold researchers have suggested that plants not only respond to vibration, but may use it to communicate. That roots might send tiny sound waves to signal to neighboring roots. It's a theory with very little proof, but it keeps surfacing. Like a song stuck in the mind of science. And whether that's true or not, we already know this. Vibration changes behavior. Even a quiet hum can alter a plant's growth, orientation, or chemical production. It's like they're tuned to the quietest frequencies of the world. Thunder, footsteps, flowing streams, and they respond without needing to understand. So what does that mean for you? Here in your soft room, listening to a slow voice and a sleepy rhythm? It means your body is also a resonator. Right now, your breath hums softly in your chest. Your pulse drums in your wrists. Every part of you is a chamber for sound, a cave for echo, a bell for vibration. You're not just listening, you're feeling sound. And just like a plant root grows toward running water, you may find yourself drawn toward the calm, toward stillness, toward the gentle tone that says, "You're safe here. So go ahead. Let the noise of the day fall away. Let only the softest vibrations remain. The whisper of your breath, the murmur of rust. The music of a body finally letting go. Imagine now that you're not a plant, but a seed. Small, sealed, patient. Buried deep in darkness, under layers of earth. No light, no sound, just time. You are potential, nothing more. But within you lies an entire forest, roots and stems, and leaves and futures. And the moment will come. A whisper of moisture, a touch of warmth, a sliver of light, and something ancient stirs. You break open. Not with noise, not with drama, but with quiet insistence. You push downward with your root, anchoring yourself. And you push upward with your shoot, seeking the sky. But here's where it gets strange. You know which way is up, even in the dark, even without seeing or hearing. You know. How? Gravity. You feel it in the tiny stateless inside your cells, little particles that settle downward, telling you where the bottom is. You respond with gravitropism, an elegant, invisible dance between direction and purpose. Roots grow down, shoots grow up. Always. Until, of course, they don't. Because sometimes gravity tricks you, or gets taken away. In space, for instance, plants grow in chaotic directions, roots curling unpredictably, shoots wandering sideways. Scientists aboard the International Space Station have studied how plants cope with microgravity. The answer? They try their best. And slowly, awkwardly, they still grow. They still seek. Back on Earth, there's another invisible force at play. Time. Plants keep time without watches, calendars, or alarms. Their cells pulse with circadian rhythms, internal clocks that match the rise and fall of the sun. Even in constant darkness, they still know when to sleep, when to eat, when to bloom. Here's the mainstream science. Plants use light-sensitive proteins to sync their rhythms to the day. These proteins tell the plant when dawn is coming, often before the first light hits. And now the fringe. Some experiments suggest that plant roots might pulse in cycles, even when isolated, as if responding to an inner drumbeat, a timekeeper. We don't fully understand. One researcher even proposed that this pulse might help roots search more efficiently, like a sonar sweep underground. A seed, after all, doesn't just sprout. It plans. It waits. It senses. It times its moment. And maybe that's what makes plants such comforting teachers. Their quiet relationship with time. Not fighting it, not rushing it. Just moving through it. Just like you. As you lie here, you may notice your own rhythm. The slow wave of breath, the occasional twitch of a toe, the silent drift of thought between dreaming and waking. This is your circadian tide. And like a seed in the dark, you don't have to do anything about it. Your body knows. It will open when it's ready. It will bloom when the time is right. For now, just rest. Let the darkness be gentle. Let the rhythm be slow. Let yourself be a little seed again. Picture this. You're a plant once again. Still, rooted, absorbing, but not passive. Oh no, you're aware. A rain cloud passes overhead, and you adjust. The temperature drops, and your cells change pace. A hungry caterpillar takes a bite of your leaf, and your chemistry shifts, releasing bitter compounds to make the next bite less appealing. You see, even though you can't walk or flee or swat away a predator, you are not defenseless. You're incredibly responsive, a silent strategist with a chemical language. Let's start with one of the most remarkable abilities plants have: chemical signaling. When attacked by pests, many plants emit volatile organic compounds, basically plant pheromones, into the air. These invisible plumes carry warnings to neighboring plants. Hey, danger's here. Time to prepare. And just like that, nearby leaves start changing too. Defensive enzymes activate, toxins build. The whole ecosystem shifts in tone. Trees do this. Grasses do this. Even humble houseplants may be whispering to each other when you're not looking. Mainstream science fully supports this idea now. We once thought of plants as isolated individuals. Now we know they're parts of living networks, bound together by scent and soil. And what about the roots? Below the surface, plants communicate too, not with air, but with fungi. Yes, fungi. Through vast underground networks of thread-like structures called mycorrhizae, plants trade nutrients, send warning signals, and even support weaker neighbors. Scientists call it the Wood Wide Web, and it's not just poetic. It's real. A dying tree can transfer its last sugars to a seedling. An older oak might send out chemical cues to help its kin resist disease. This kind of behavior, altruism? Strategy? Doesn't fit neatly into our categories. It challenges what we think intelligence looks like, which brings us to the fringe. Some researchers propose that plants might possess distributed intelligence, not centralized in a brain, but spread across their tissues, networks, and chemical gradients. It's not a mind like ours, but maybe something adjacent. A way of processing experience over time, of remembering, adapting, and even deciding. Now think about that as you lie still. Your mind, unlike a plant, is concentrated. A storm of thought behind the eyes. But your body is more like a tree than you might realize. It has layers of communication. It listens to signals from the outside. It balances chemical messengers, electrical pulses, rhythms of light and dark, all without conscious effort. Don't have to know how your cells repair skin, or how your stomach knows it's time to slow down for sleep. Your body remembers how to be alive, just like the roots in the dark, just like the leaves in the sun. So let's take a moment, here in the dim light of night, and thank the quiet systems, yours and theirs, for doing their beautiful work behind the scenes. No drama. No noise, just the patient art of being. There's one final direction your roots haven't reached yet. Memory. Yes. Memory. Not in the way you recall names or where you put your socks, but in the way a plant remembers its environment, not with neurons, but with biochemistry. Say you're a plant living in a cold climate. One harsh winter, you nearly die from frost. The next year, something remarkable happens. You begin producing antifreeze proteins before the real cold even arrives. Why? Because your cells remembered. This process is called vernalization, the ability of plants to register a prolonged cold period and then trigger flowering only when it's safe. No calendar, no weather app. Just the quiet recording of temperature over time. And it's not just cold they remember. Some plants record drought conditions, soil composition, even insect attacks. These experiences get written into their biology, not like a book, but more like marks in soft clay. And when their offspring grow, those responses may persist, passed on through epigenetic memory. Science confirms this. Genes in plants can be switched on or off based on environmental conditions, and those switches can be inherited. Even if the DNA sequence doesn't change, your body does something similar. By the way, the effects of your stress, sleep, and nourishment leave imprints on how your genes are expressed. You and the tree in your yard? More alike than either of you might guess. And now for the fringe. There's a speculative theory, not widely accepted, but charming, that plants could one day be used as environmental historians. By studying chemical traces in tree rings, leaf compounds, and even root systems, we might decode a plant's version of the past, a living diary of droughts, storms, and sun. So maybe one day, you won't need weather records, just a forest willing to talk. Here's a strange but true historical tidbit. In 1983, an electrical engineer named Cleve Baxter claimed that plants hooked up to lie detectors showed signs of emotion. reacting to thoughts, threats, even silent intentions. His findings were never replicated in proper studies, but they launched a whole wave of plant consciousness theories. Did plants flinch at the thought of being burned? Did they anticipate danger? Science said no, but the public said, maybe dot, and maybe is a powerful word dot. So tonight, as you rest in this soft green silence, know this, your body too holds memory dot, not just in your brain, but in your posture, your habits, the way you breathe when someone says your name. Your very cells remember the sun. They remember the cold. They remember the water dot, just like the seeds. You carry a future shaped by everything you've known, and by things you've long forgotten. And if you're feeling tired right now, that's okay. That your body remembers how to rest. Too, that it's built into your soil. That so close your eyes. Sink a little deeper into the blankets. You are the forest. You are the garden. You are the memory. You've been so many things on this journey. A seed, a stem, a root reaching through darkness, a leaf unfurling into light. But here, at the edge of sleep, let's become something even smaller. A single plant cell dot, just one. Not the whole tree. Not the whole forest. Just the tiniest building block. You're spherical, soft-walled, filled with fluid. Your outer membrane shimmers, gently holding your shape. And inside you, chloroplasts, those little green miracles, are humming softly. They're capturing sunlight. They're making sugar. They're doing photosynthesis like they've done for over 3 billion years. And outside you, drifting past, is the air, filled with carbon dioxide. And as you absorb it, you begin the long process of turning it into something sweet. Something alive. In that moment, you're not just a cell. You're an engine of breath. You're making the air other creatures will need. And that includes, well, you. Because here's the secret. The oxygen in your lungs, the one you just exhaled, came from green cells just like this one. Floating algae in oceans, mosses clinging to rocks, towering trees and tiny weeds. They all breathed first. Plants didn't just decorate the planet, they designed it. They transformed an inhospitable earth into a place where air could carry life. They created the atmosphere. They adjusted the climate. They paved the way for lungs, wings, and whispers. And through it all, they didn't shout. They grew. They climbed. They bloomed in silence. And now, after everything there, still here, all around you. Maybe in a pot on your windowsill. Maybe pressing against your house in vines. Maybe hundreds of miles away in a rainforest you'll never see. But they're with you, and they're still listening. Even now, while you lie here, the breath you're taking is part of their endless loop. The great inhale and exhale of a planet that learned to breathe through leaves. So take one more breath, a deep one. Let it in slowly. This is air you helped create in a world you quietly shaped, through a body made possible by every green thing that came before. You are not separate from it. You are not just visiting nature. You are in it. You are it. You're the part that moves. You're the part that dreams. Let the last thoughts of this night drift like leaves across still water. No need to hold them. Just let them float. You've wandered far tonight, across roots and rhythms, through forests that speak without sound, into a world shaped not by haste, but by patience. A world that didn't need to conquer to thrive. A world that grew tall by reaching slowly, quietly, persistently toward the sun. In that silence, you found time. In that stillness, you found purpose. There's something comforting about plants, isn't there? Something soothing in the way they move without moving, in the way they grow without grasping. They don't chase light, they wait for it. And when it arrives, they bloom. You're allowed to do the same. Tonight, there is nothing more you need to become. No new thoughts you must chase. No tasks waiting. No problems to solve, not only the breath you're already taking. Only the warmth of the covers around you. Only the quiet green part of yourself that remembers what it's like to rest. So sink, settle, let go, let your dreams wander. Through ancient forests, across soft moss, beneath dappled light, let your breath move like wind through leaves. And when sleep comes, let it arrive gently, not like a door closing, but like a petal folding in for the night. You are safe here, are rooted. And you are already home.